President Quintorra, I'm delighted to welcome you to the Alex Salmond Show.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you here in this palace of the Generalitat, the government of Catalonia.
Now, you were elected president. You were the fourth candidate to be put forward in the parliament. You were elected by a plurality of one single vote.
Exactly.
And you yourself have said, in your opinion, President Puigdemont is still the legitimate president of Catalonia. Under these circumstances, is it difficult to exert presidential authority?
Well, I think that just not only for these circumstances, I think that what is normal, what is exceptional now in Catalonia is our political situation. You know, there are political prisoners in jail in Spain, Democrates, politicals that they only wanted to let the Catalan vote and are in prison now. There are people in exile as well, and there are thousands and thousands of Catalans being persecuted, investigated by the Spanish police, etc. So we are living in a very, let's say, critical political moment in Catalonia, and I think that this is the point, the main important point, to understand what is happening now in Catalonia.
And this symbol you're wearing in your lapel, which we see all around Catalonia, is this the symbol of those who've been imprisoned and incarcerated, the politicians and campaigners?
Yes, exactly. This is the yellow ribbon that we wear. Remember ourselves, remember to the people that is surround us, that exactly that this is the situation, is for demanding the freedom for our colleagues that are in prison, demanding the coming back, the exiles, and demanding coming back the democracy and the freedom of expression in Catalonia as well.
Now, President Torra, as you say, you've come into the office in exceptional and exceptionally difficult circumstances. What is your strategy to try and get Catalonia back on the road, to be able to choose to have an independent republic? Which is your aim?
We are here because there's a democratic mandate that come after the last election, with and the voters they voted for a politicians that continue the process of independence that was beginning 5-6 years ago. I think that it's important to take a look of what we have done during these last years, because it's the only way to make sense what we now propose to do. In the last 3 elections, the independentist parties in Catalonia have won the elections. So we think that the people has expressed their support to the idea of the Catalan Republic, and that's the aim of our government, to go ahead, to go on in what we think that is the mandate that the people is asking us to do for.
The independence parties, there are 3 main independence parties.
Yes.
You famously are not a member of a political party.
No, not at all.
Is this an advantage in being able to coalesce that independence grouping together as the president?
Well, this could be an advantage. In my opinion, is much better to understand that I came from the basis of this independence movement. I used to work with Muriel Casals, one of the former presidents of Òmnium Cultural, one of the main important social association for the independence movement. I am member of the Catalan National Assembly, that is the second largest, let's say, association for the independence. So I am one of thousands and thousands of Catalans that, from the basis, we have been pushing our political leaders to go on, because we think that we have this right to self-determinate ourselves. And well, now I'm in the position to, this is just in the other side, so in the position to hear what the people is asking us to do for.
Now, you're the new president and political leader of Catalonia, but there is also a new prime minister in Spain, Senor Sanchez. Does that open up the possibility of dialogue, which clearly hasn't been there over the past few years?
Yeah, exactly. I had a meeting with Mr. Sanchez 3 weeks ago. It was a very interesting meeting because, unfortunately, we couldn't sit with the Conservative Party in the last times. So for first time in many years, we had the opportunity to sit together around the same table and to talk about everything. This is a good starting point. We agreed that this is a political issue that should be solved politically and that is needed bilateral relationship between the governments of Catalonia and Spain. Okay, these are the points, these are the starting points. The problem now is that we still remain defending our positions. From the Catalan perspective, the right, how we exercise this right to self-determination. From the Spanish perspective, they say that there's no life, out of the Spanish Constitution. And well, I think that we should apply all our, let's say, political intelligence to try to deal with that. Okay, now we are sitting around the table. Now there's starting this dialogue between Catalonia and Spain. But now we should see facts from the Spanish government that this dialogue is being translated to the reality with certain things that should happen. And we will be there to talk about everything.
President Torra, can I get your assessment of what the key turning points in recent Catalonian history have been? Would you say that the Constitutional Court in 2010, when it watered down, sabotaged, depending on your point of view, the Statute of Autonomy, was that a key moment in terms of determining the attitude of people in Catalonia?
It was a very key moment in our last year history because negotiation about a new Statute de Autonomía for Catalonia started 6 years before, 2010. So when we were at that moment, and the Constitutional Court dictated that we agreed and we voted was practically non-understandable after the sentence. I think that it was a very key moment, and commonly we used to say that this is a starting point for what happened later.
Let me take you back to another key moment. That was the 1st of October last year.
Yes, exactly.
On the day of the referendum, with the activities of the Spanish state police, which everyone in the world saw on the television screens. Where were you? What were you doing? And what was your immediate reaction to what you were saying?
Well, with more than 2 million people, I was in the school that is supposed that was my polling station. With my family and other friends, we occupied this school from Friday evening just to assure that all our neighbors and all our friends could vote.
In defending the ballot box.
Defending, exactly. This was the idea. Let's be there, because if we are not there, probably the police should close the door and it would be impossible to vote peaceful and freely. So from Friday, I was there with friends, with family. So we live those 42 hours very, very emotionally. The people of Catalonia took this opportunity of the 1st of October like a very, very important moment for us, you know. Great part of the party was playing in that moment, and more than 2 million of Catalans participated in a very tough way. We were determined to defend people to vote, and we did it, and we succeeded.
Let me take you forward a few weeks to the declaration of a Catalan Republic following on the referendum. And then within a few days, the arrest or exile and then imprisonment of many political leaders in Catalonia. Did you go from a an exuberant high to a Great Depression as you saw events unfold.
And it was very shocked for all of us. The impact that these days had in the Catalan society was, as you can imagine, was very impressive for all of us. Friends were put in prison. Others, they had to go to exile. Well, it was really a shocking moment for the Catalan society, because no one in Catalonia, no one could imagine that in the 21st century, just for exercising the democracy in their pure idea, in their pure sense, these politics could finally end in a prison or in exile. Was something unimaginable for all of us. The society was shocked. I think that after some weeks, we started to recover ourselves. We started to wear this yellow ribbon. We start to think that we should do many things. And now, independence Catalan movement is every day doing thousands of activities around Catalonia, expressing their support to the political prisoners, to the people of exile. And it's something that we are living in community, and we are living very inside.
So the parliamentary elections take place on December the 23rd last year. The independence parties and sympathetic independents win a majority of the seats, a narrow majority, and after a process, you're elected, a direct rule is ended, and you're installed as the new president of Catalonia. Even after these events we've described, the breaking of the constitutional agreement back in 2010, the violence of the state police on the 1st of October, the imprisonment of many of the Catalonian leadership, the opinion surveys suggest that opinion on independence is split around 50-50. As president of Catalonia, what is your strategy to persuade the other 50%, the people not convinced of your case, that they should move towards the independence position?
There are many ways to pursue this other half of the Catalan population, that independence could be a good solution for all of us. First, putting in the center radically the idea of democracy. This is not just only about independence, it's just about rights, civil rights, free of expressions. Just remember that there's a singer that is in exile in Switzerland just because he wrote a song about the King of Spain. That's the proof that this is not only about the independence, it's about, the roots of the same democracy in Spain. So is democracy, is rights, is free of expression. I think that in this way, probably many people could, we know that many voters from the Socialist Party and other parties are against the repression that our politicians have suffered. So for us, it's a way. The second way is try to do our best. If the action of the government of Catalonia is a good action. So if we can really go in the social problems of the Catalan community, probably this is going to be the motor of change, the Republican motor of change that we need. So we will act in these two ways.
In your negotiations, conversations thus far with Prime Minister Sanchez, is the release of the political prisoners a prerequisite of having substantial negotiations from your perspective?
No, this is not on the table, not at all. We think that the political prisoners should be free this evening, should be free tomorrow. We are not negotiating it in any circumstances, because if we negotiate about the freedom of the prisoners, in a certain way we are admitting that they are in prison for some reasons, and we deny the measure of that. We think that they did nothing at all to be at prison. In fact, this is not this is not my opinion. This is not the opinion of the independentist movement in Catalonia. This is the opinion of the justice of Germany. This is the opinion of the justice of Switzerland. This is the opinion of the justice of Belgium and Scotland as well. So we see that in 4 countries in Europe, justice is going in one direction, and in Spain, justice is going just in the opposite direction. And who is right? Europe or Spain in this remark? Because Mr. Puigdemont, I'm going to see him is a free citizen now, that he can move around Europe.
Except in Spain.
Except Spain. Imagine, except Spain. But President Puigdemont, Clara Ponsatí, other members of the former government of Catalonia, they are free in Europe except in Spain.
But even so, would you regard the suspension of the requests for European arrest warrants as a de-escalation? Or do you fear that they may be reactivated at some point over the next few months?
Well, I don't know. Now it's time for Mr. Sanchez to make the peace, to do something, because now it's time for facts. Okay, we started, let's say, this new era of dialogue, of negotiating. Okay, agree. But now in the following months, we have to see if something is moving or not. Because if not, we had to understand that for us, for the Catalans, is the same having Mr. Sanchez or having Mr. Rajoy. Now it's turn for Mr. Sanchez to demonstrate, not only to the Catalans, I think that to the world, that things in Spain can be done in a different way than from the Conservative Party.
Well, let's assume for the sake of argument that I was the Prime Minister of Spain. Let's say I'm Mr. Sanchez. And I say to you, I say, look, Mr. President, I've been thinking about how to come to a settlement. And I've been thinking back to the Constitutional Court's suspension of an agreed statute of autonomy. I've been thinking about what happened in the 1st of October last year, and I've been thinking about the political prisoners' no's in exile. And I think it's time to revive the settlement that we were agreed on, which had been passed in Catalonia in a referendum. Would that be enough to, at least for the short term, be something that you would be interested in discussion? Or would you say to Mr. Sanchez, look, we have to have a referendum on independence?
Let's see what is going to happen day by day, in the sense that, okay, if there's an open mind from the Spanish government to continue in the way of dialogue, negotiating, etc., then we could ask about many, or they could negotiate about many things. But I am always saying the same metaphor. Okay, in this room you can see it, but there's a big white elephant named self-determination. And this is the issue, the main important issue that is debating the Catalan society. And at the end, much more sooner than later, an answer should be done by the Spanish government, because we want self-determinate. In fact, we self-determinated the 1st of October. And we can negotiate about this referendum, okay, and the political declaration of independence of the 27th of October. We can negotiate it by an agreed referendum from the Spanish government. This could be a solution.
So let me be clear about what you're saying. You're saying that if there was to be an agreement about having a referendum at some point in the future, which was acknowledged and accepted as legal and binding by the Spanish government, then you would be prepared to put aside all decisions that had been made to date with regard to the previous referendum.
Yes, this could be a good deal. This could be a good deal for us. This is a reasonable deal, I think, for trying to solve this issue politically, as we agreed, President Sanchez and myself.
Although it's quite true that various European legal systems
Yeah.
Didn't approve of adjudicating on political disputes. That is true. But equally, the case of Catalonia has had pretty short shrift. It's had pretty negative reaction from the leadership of most European countries and from the European Union institutions. Is there a way that you as president are going to be able to change that, or at least say, we are willing, enthusiastic Europeans, give us a hearing? Or do you think that is set by the fact that Spain is a loyal European Union member and the European Commission doesn't cross a loyal European member?
Well, we know perfectly well how this club of states that at the end is the European Union acts logically. So we know how difficult it is to be a new state in our days. Of course, we know how many sacrifices the Catalan people should do in the future if we want to be independent, logically. But we know as well the real politics, how it is. So if we are determined to be independent, and if we really have the strength, have the determination, have even the aim to suffer the sacrifices that probably we will have to do to be independent, then I don't have any doubt that at the end the European Union should accept Catalonia as a member of this club of states.
And finally, Mr. President, earlier in the interview you said something very important, which was that the case for independence, for self-determination, had increasingly moved on to be a community case about democracy, about participation.
Absolutely.
In contrast, which many would see as the defects of the Spanish political system, and indeed other political systems elsewhere. But you yourself have been criticised in the past for writings which were apparently objectionable to Catalans with a Spanish orientation. What can you do, because you're now the president of all of Catalonia, you're Catalonia's president, what can you do to unite opinion across Catalonia to say this democratic dream that we have, this participative democracy, is a substantially superior vision and inclusive of all people in Catalonia?
The Catalanist movement, now independentist movement nowadays, always has said the same, that the cohesion of Catalonia is a priority for all of us. We are just one people. This is not under any question at all. I used to say as well that the same freedom that I want for Catalonia, I want the same for the Spanish people. And now freedom in the Iberic Peninsula means republic. So I hope that soon the Republic of Catalonia and the Republic of Spain should meet together fraternally, and I think that this is the best future for all of us.
Well, I can't determine the future, Mr. President, but what I can do is offer you something to toast the future in.
I know it very well. Yeah.
This is a quaich, which is Scots Gaelic for a loving cup. You know the drill. Whiskey, only Scotch whiskey, nothing else will do.
No,
in the
because
quaich,
if not, it disintegrated.
and then round all the citizens of Catalonia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
Thank you, Mr. Salmon. Thank you. Thank you.